Welcome to the British Talent Cup for 2019, a series for riders aged between 12 and 17 from the British Isles to make their name and pursue their dream of one day becoming a future star of Grand Prix racing. Part of Dorna's Road to MotoGP platform, 23 riders were selected, and this weekend we bring you the 7th and 8th races of the season live from Snetterton in Norfolk, alongside the British Championship here this weekend. Here you're looking at some highlights from the last round 3, which was running alongside the World Superbike Championship. As we come into this weekend, Scott Ogden holds a 21-point lead in the British Talent Cup as we reach the halfway stage. So a very good afternoon, I would say a warm welcome to Snetterton here in Norfolk, but the weather could play a big part in how things go. This morning, well, we had a massive downpour in the circuit, still damp at the moment as we prepare for a 14-lap race, the first of 2 to take place in the British Talent Cup here this weekend alongside the British Superbike Championship. Now the riders are on the grid. It has dried quite a lot since then. You can see there's scattered clouds, a couple of baggy grey clouds still overhead with some rain to come potentially here in this one. We're expecting a wet race to be declared. In the championship, Scott Ogden, who's been on the podium in every race so far, is on 127 points, 21 points ahead of Cameron Horseman at the halfway stage, but he has to start from the back row of the grid after a costly crash during qualifying, which meant he could not set a time. Lots to play for. I'm Steve Day. I'm delighted to say that joining me in the commentary box here to bring us this one is, of course, 2015 Moto3 World Champion Danny Kent. Danny, welcome to the commentary box. Thanks for joining us. This is your first weekend, effectively, in the British Superbike Championship for MV Augusta. So far, I know it's not completely gone to plan, but I'm sure you're excited to be back out on circuit again.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long 7 months since I last rode, but no, I'm glad to be back. Like you said, unfortunately, the weekend is not going as planned. We've had a few technical problems with the bike. But we wasn't able to get any testing in before heading there. It's the first time the bike's been run with the Motec electronics and stuff, so we have to expect these small little problems. And the plan originally was anyway to use the second half of the year as sort of a testing plan.
Now, Danny, you've been in this situation before, of course. Moto3, anything can happen. Your thoughts about Moto3 around this circuit in particular, a couple of key long straights? Yeah,
as you were saying, Scott Ogden got unlucky yesterday, starting from the back of the grid, but anything can happen in Moto3, and if there's any track that is possible to catch the front group is here with the long straights, with the slipstreaming. So
it's looking like it's going to be declared a wet race, Danny, which is good news for these guys because it means they can start with these Dunlop wet tyres. Now, these are very, very durable, really, really grippy as well, so it shouldn't really be a big problem for them.
Yeah, they're starting on rain tyres, the same for everyone. It's not going to be easy out there because it's, as you can see on the track, there's quite a lot of wet spots, but the wind's quite strong, so I think as the race goes on, it's going to dry out quite quick if we don't get any more rain. But yeah, it should be good.
So the championship, Scott Ogden leads it overall. He'll start from 19th. Cameron Horseman is second overall in the championship. Now Cameron will be starting from 4th on the grid. The front row then, Fenton Seabright on pole position again. He's the most recent race winner, although he's had a scattered season of inconsistency. He's just about in the championship still in 3rd overall, but key weekend for him. He's got to stay upright, Danny. 2 DNFs so far, 58 points down. You can claw that back with still 6 races to go, but he's got a great opportunity here from pole.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, he has got a great opportunity. But it is tricky conditions. He's at the front. He's going to be the one testing the track first if he gets a good start. But yeah, last couple of races, his name's always been up there, and I'm thinking that if he had stayed a bit more consistent throughout the year, he'd be up there in like fighting for the championship.
Well, second on the group behind Fenton Seabright is Scott Swan from Northern Ireland. This is a great opportunity for Scott as well. He comes into this one 8th overall in the championship. He had a third place at the second round of the British Talent Cup. Here is Fenton Seabright then on pole position. As we mentioned before, identical machinery for absolutely everyone. We've just got 3 minutes now until the warm-up lap begins. The BMW heads over to Ritchie's corner. Fenton Seabright, a huge advantage during qualifying as well. A bit of a mixed condition, mixed bag, Danny, as it were, in qualifying. But that's 1.3 seconds that Fenton Seabright has in his back pocket.
Yeah, that is a good old gap, especially in Moto3. I wasn't able to watch it yesterday, so I didn't know if it was actually completely dry or if it was mixed conditions. But if it was mixed conditions, then it's quite easy. Well, not easy, but that is very common to see a gap like that over the grid.
Third on the grid here today is Brian Hart, number 9, of course. You'll have to try and stay with us because all of these bikes are identical. Not a lot of differing helmets out there. But it is 22 then, Fenton Seabright on pole. Number 20, Scott Swan in second. Number 9, Brian Hart in third. Brian Hart 7th in the British Talent Cup Championship standings so far. On row 2, we can see, sorry, that's still Hart. Just in the background there is Cameron Horseman, number 23. Now with Scott Ogden back in 19th, again, a bit like Fenton Seabright, opportunity here, but you've got to stay upright. And as you say, it's so tricky. What I was going to ask you, Danny, is in these situations where it is slightly damp on these wets, what does it do to your mindset knowing that if it does clatter it down with rain, I mean, it completely affects everything out on circuit, doesn't it? Even though you've got rain tyres on.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, if that does happen, normally you'd want the rain to happen quite early on in the race, because if the track's quite dry with a few wet spots, the temperature of the tyres going quite high, and then if it suddenly rains with the high temperature, it normally comes in a little bit more slippier.
Well, it should be fascinating. There was a race earlier on this season at Donington Park, actually, where it's had a little bit of a rain midway through, and it was fascinating to see so many riders from mid-pack who were obviously more confident in those conditions coming through. So we'll have to wait and see. We are not far away from action here. 14 laps then of the Snetterton 300 circuit. Of course, this is the circuit that was redesigned by MSVR back in the winter of 2010, which features that new inner section, not like the old Snetterton circuit that you used to race on, Danny.
Yeah, back in 2006 and 7 on your Aprilia Super Tunes. Yeah, that was last time I rode it, but fortunately we got a track day 2 weeks ago on a 600, so I could learn the infield. But yeah, it's a nice track. It's very European, so I like it.
Yeah, it's of course Snetterton here in Norfolk, just off the A11. Used to be an old RAF and US Army Air Force airfield back in the 40s, and it looks like the sun is popped out just as we begin the warm-up lap. So away they go then down into turn 1. They've had a couple of sighting laps out on circuit, so they've had a good look at where the damp patches are and the puddles as well.
Yeah, I think that is very important for these guys, especially on this lap now, is to see where all the wet spots are, so that when the green light goes, you know where all the wet spots are, so you don't heavy braking. Obviously, you might be trying to overtake someone, you don't want to run over a wet spot and then close the front. I think you'll see at the beginning of this race it'll be quite scattered out, and it's going to be the brave riders which have less to lose, which are going to be faster at the beginning.
So here they are then, just coming back on themselves then, around Palmer Corner, and then up towards Agostini. A lot of heavy braking zones around this Snetterton 300 circuit as well.
I just hope there's no wet spots there.
Well, let's have a look down into Agostini. It looks okay there.
Yeah, it looks really dry there, yeah.
They power up towards Hamilton and Oggies. It'll be interesting to see what some of the corners leading onto the start-finish straights are like as well, and particularly onto the back Bentley straight, which they'll be approaching shortly. Just coming up now towards Oggies and Williams corner, so just tiptoeing around, making sure absolutely everything's okay. The good news is, Danny, there's no wet patch as they lead themselves onto the Bentley straight by the looks of things either.
Yeah, the track is actually looking really dry. What I saw on my outlap from this morning was it was wet under the bridge at the end of this straight, obviously, where it's got some cover.
It looks like there's just a little bit of a river running across the circuit on the exit.
Yeah.
Coming onto the Bentley straight, where that will potentially be a bit of a high side risk.
Yeah, especially with Moto3, where sometimes you see about 5 of them next to each other on a straight.
We'll have to see how that one pans out in a moment. They make their way under the bridge then into what used to be known as the S's. Yeah, a couple of rain spots on the camera lens there as well. They might have been there still from earlier, through what used to be the S's, but now renamed Brundle and Nelson, and then up towards the Bummel, a few patches there as well.
But in all honesty, it's going to be a difficult race because it's actually really dry, and they're all using wet tyres. It's going to be down because they know the track's dry. They're going to be pushing hard, and with these rain tyres, obviously they're softer. They're going to have a lot more movement on the brakes. So it's down to whoever gets a good feeling with it. And
well, we'll see how it goes as they now head into the final turn here at Snetterton. Of course, Murray's onto the semi-straight, ready then to get themselves started then for British Talent Cup. We are at the halfway stage of the championship. After this, overseas for the British Talent Cup as they join the MotoGP World Championship. Brno, the next round for these guys. What an opportunity it is for some of these youngsters. And then, of course, the final round will take part in the same weekend as Silverstone, the MotoGP round as well. So there's a big puddle there just on the exit of the final corner as well as they're going onto the start-finish straight. They'll want to look out for that one. But all of the riders now have had a good look at this Snetterton 300 circuit. A 14-lap race coming up here in the British Talent Cup. This is round 4 of the championship in 2019. After this, we'll be past the halfway stage. Fenton Seabright is on pole position, but as always, we will keep an eye on number 4 at the back, the championship leader, Scott Ogden. Eye to the light, top left corner. Out they go. A little bit of a twitch there for a moment from number 20, Scott Swan, but eventually he gets away. They head down then towards Ritchie's corner. Turn number 1, and Fenton Seabright looks like he might just about have enough. No, going underneath him there, brave, is Brian Hart. Good start then from Hart. Really aggressive and committed into turn 1, Ritchie's. Now they're breaking down into Wilson corner. Got to be careful here, Danny.
yeah, I think Scott Ogden also made a good start. If I saw correct, then I think he took about 4 or 5 people off the line going into turn 1, so that's good.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on the championship leader, number 4, as things start to progress. He started a bit further back on the grid a couple of rounds ago and made brilliant progress, but on to the front here, number 9, Brian Hart it is. This still has the advantage from Fenton Seabright and Cameron Horseman, of course. Number 23, worth remembering, he is the man that at the moment directly challenges Scott Ogden in the championship. Bit further back, you're absolutely right there. Scott Ogden has made an absolute flyer. 10th place. Great.
As we said before, anything can happen in Moto3.
It certainly can. Well, he'll be really encouraged by that, Scott Ogden, but he's just got to keep his powder dry here. This is a long race, 14 laps around this 3-mile circuit. Still Brian Hart that has the advantage in the early stages. Cameron Horseman does tend to just take a couple of laps to really warm into things. And as I say that, he has a big twitch onto the Bentley straight, and he's going to lose out on 3rd place here as well.
Yeah, like we said before, because of the track conditions, it's going to be a bit split up, and you can see the first 2 already pulling away a little bit, but it'll take a while for some of the riders to get into their pace, into their rhythm, and hopefully it'll squash back up and have a good race.
Cameron Horseman fought back into 3rd place there. There is number 12 going really well. That's Torrin Collins, 13-year-old. Got English parents, but born actually in Canada, believe it or not. His family work out there, so he does arrive here with a Canadian accent, and he is new to every single circuit. But whatever happens, Torrin Collins obviously loves this Snetterton layout, because from nowhere, a rider who has not been in the top 10 at any race so far this year, he's moved up into 4th. There might be a challenge, though, for the lead here. Brian Hart about to get overtaken on the slipstream by Fenton Seabright. He does power past on the centre straight up towards turn 1. Will he hold on to it? Will Brian Hart retaliate? No. Seabright takes the lead. Looking at Scott Ogden now. He's
up to 7th now, yeah.
Brilliant job from the championship leader. Of course, he'll know, looking at the standings so far, that it is so important to finish races, so important to rack up those points.
It is, yeah. To win championships, you just need to be consistent. And from starting last on the grid and already up to 7th, he's going to get good points where he is. But I'm sure as the race goes on, everyone's going to get faster. They're all bedding themselves in. But you can already see the leader. He's already...
Well, Fenton Seabright, quite honestly, Danny, I mean, you mentioned the championship, having won a world championship. This is only a 12-race championship.
Yeah.
You can't really afford many more than a couple of DNFs in a season, can you?
No, definitely not. Like I said, it is 12 races. You need to be as consistent as possible. And it's important. And a few DNFs is not it's not end of the day, but...
Well, at the moment, Fenton Seabright, who is 3rd in the championship, the most recent race winner, if he's going to win the British Talent Cup this year, he's probably going to need to be on the podium in every single race now from here until the end of the season, and he's going to need a bunch of wins as well.
I was
keeping an eye on Ogden, still in 7th at the moment.
Yeah, as he gets closer to the front, he's coming to the faster boys, so I think you'll see his name come up a little bit more slower than what it was at the beginning of the race.
There is number 4. He's just coming up to... Oh, we've had a fallout. We've had a fallout. Who is that then who's gone down? Is that number 9? Is that Brian Hart? It is. He can't believe it. He was in a great spot there. He's not had a podium since the opening round of the season. And he's absolutely gutted.
I think that is where I was saying underneath the bridge, there's quite... after the back straight, he would have touched the... You're coming down the straight, of course you've got some fast speed, and underneath there's some...
There's a bit of a river.
There is a water coming right underneath the bridge, and you're on the brakes quite hard there to try and stop the bike, and you would have lost the front. It's very easily done.
What a shame for Brian Hart then. He's absolutely furious. 7th in the championship. Looked like there might be a big podium opportunity here there for him.
Now Seabright has got a bit of a lead now, up to 2.2 seconds.
Well, what an opportunity it is for Fenton Seabright. Scott Ogden then is already now up into the top 5. So he's done an absolutely magnificent job so far, and he looks like he might be challenging very shortly for 3rd place as well.
Yeah, he's in the group. He's right there.
There he is.
Yeah.
Brilliant move. Block pass into Wilson corner. He's telling them just... I love that, Danny, that the old tap on the rear seat unit rarely works.
Yeah, especially in Moto3, because normally they tap it on an exit of a corner where there's a straight, and by the end of that straight, they've gone past you again. But clearly, he has the pace. They obviously know where he qualified, which was at the back of the grid, so if they're clever, they should tag on the back of him and hopefully let him pull them up to the front, guys.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it, Danny? I mean, if they're sensible, they know he's the championship leader. He'll more than likely drag them towards the front group, but at the same time, we are dealing with 12 to 17-year-olds.
I was just about to say the same thing. They are young. As you said earlier, there was a 13-year-old out there. So young.
So, Scott Ogden's got himself crucially to the front of this group. If he stays there, he'll hold on to his championship lead for sure going into tomorrow. Well, actually, with a 26-point lead, 21-point lead, he's more than likely going to end up as championship leader going into tomorrow. But he wants to limit the damage done to him. Riders 2nd and 3rd in the championship are ahead of him on circuit. A bit further back there, then number 12. That's Collins. Number 4 there is Ogden. Just behind him then is Scott Swan. He started on the front row. Jack Nixon has just gone up into 5th place then and has just overtaken Torrin Collins.
I'm just going to keep an eye on the timing now just to see if he starts running faster, see if he can get that gap down.
Well, Seabright's in a world of his own, isn't he, at the moment?
He is,
209.1.
But he is, like I said, they're using rain tyres on a very dry track. So he's pushed that a little bit harder at the beginning of this race. He might come into some problems towards the end of the race, you never know. But the same, I could say the same towards Ogden, because he's had to come from the back of the grid to the front. So we'll see how it all plans out at the end of the race.
Bit further back down the order, the battle for 9th place. There's number 10, Jack Hart, Harry Lee there, number 16 just following, and then Charlie Atkins in 10th place, a rider who kissed goodbye to a podium opportunity at the 2nd round at Donington a few rounds back. He would expect to try and hold on to a top 10 place here.
Yeah, see, Fenton Seabright's fastest lap is 0.7 quicker on that last lap than the group for 2nd.
Well,
so
he's now
still
got
pulling away.
a 3-second lead, so it's looking pretty good so far, but still, anything can happen, of course, and we need to keep an eye on the weather, because it looks sunny at the moment, but it could easily rain at any point here. Yeah,
the wind's quite strong, so it's changing all the time. One minute we've got sun, and next minute we've got dark clouds.
Well, number 20 there, he's keeping Scott Ogden very honest indeed. In fact, a bit wide there on the exit for Ogden, and a bit of contact as well.
Yeah, you just don't want them fighting too much, so then that gap's just going to keep increasing.
Well, Scott Swan, he had a podium at the opening round of the season, but he wants another one here. He couldn't really care about the British Talent Cup Championship. As far as he's concerned, any podium will do. Let's have another look at this one then, Danny.
Yeah, he didn't see him. It was not deliberate at all.
Still, both lucky to stay on.
Yeah, both lucky to stay on.
Front wheel on rear wheel rarely works out, does it?
Don't normally end well.
There is Cameron Horseman then. He's just gone through into the picture there. He's in 2nd place then. Seabright it is that still has the advantage. Scott Ogden. This would be a brilliant 3rd place if he were to hold on to it from 19th on the grid. Just behind these two. Scott Swan, of course, number 20 is number 2. Jack Nixon, and then Charlie Farrer is now up into 6th place. He's gone ahead of Collison with Jack Hart there in 8th, then Atkins and Lee. That's your top 10 as it stands on lap 4 of 14. Heading around Coram Curve into Murray's.
Looks like Scott sort of broke the gap a little bit now, and now he's got some clear laps, some clear track in front of him. Let's see if he can pull that gap into to Fenton Seabright.
Let's have a look across the line. He's still about a tenth off Cameron Horseman's time.
4.1 up to 4.1 seconds now. So that's 1.1 second in that one lap.
If you're Scott Ogden right now, though, I mean, you're not going to push the boat out too much to try and close that gap to Cameron Horseman, are you? I mean, this is a great. If you'd have offered him third at the start of the race, he'd have probably taken it.
Yeah, definitely. You can see it's hard for a ride when you can see someone in front of you, but then it gets to a point if you can see them pulling away, and you feel like you're on your limit. It's best to try and stay on the bike, especially when you're fighting for a championship. But then he's got a few people right behind him as well, so he's got that on his case. He's probably thinking more now of trying to pull away from them to get a safe second.
Well, there he is then. We're talking about Scott Ogden at number 4. He's in third. That's Jack Nixon in 5th. Fenton Seabright away with it at the moment. Now over 4 seconds clear out front. Fenton Seabright needs wins. So for him, it's a little bit of a different mind game to Scott Ogden. He needs a couple of big 25-point hauls. So it's kind of a win or bust situation for Fenton Seabright at the moment.
But he's doing the job. He's doing it well.
I bet these laps feel like years, though, don't they, Danny, when you're leading races like this?
Yeah, and unfortunately in World Championship we had to do double the amount of laps. I remember the longest race of my career was 2015 at Silverstone in the rain. That was a very, very long race for me.
Well, it's a long lap round there as it is, let alone when it starts raining as well.
And the last 4 laps as well, it got even harder. And I remember 3 laps ago I nearly had a big high side, and I thought I need to slow it down now.
Wow, what a memorable year that was, 2015. For Danny Kent, who joins us here in the commentary box. Fenton Seabright at the moment, though, in the British Talent Cup leads this one. Long laps here, of course, for these NSF 250R Hondas. They're currently lapping in the 208s, 209s on this 3-mile circuit. So just further back there is number 19, Charlie Farrer. He's just up ahead of number 12, Torren Collins. Still Seabright in a league of his own.
Yeah, he is. And now if I was him, I'd start to... Well, he's got time in his back. He's pulling 1.1 seconds a lap. And now he's got up to 5. He can slow it down that little bit. Like I said, he's got 1 second in his bag a lap, so he can slow it down, take less risks, and he should be able to manage it till the end.
So if you're in control of Fenton Seabright's pit board right now, are you just trying to tell him to just
I'd be waving my arms and say calm down a little bit, because 1.1 seconds a lap is quite a lot, really.
Well,
I just hope he doesn't come into some tyre problems towards the end.
Well, let's see if we see some sort of parent or guardian frantically waving their arms along the Snetterton pit wall next time they come round, because, like you say, that's a handsome advantage that he's got now. Horseman is in 2nd place. He would take, crucially, a few points off Scott Ogden if things stay this way. He would take that, lap 6 off 14. There is number 6, that's Lyons. He's just moved up 1 place ahead of Maguire and Harvey Claridge. They're just inside the points finishers.
On Fenton's pit board, they should be telling him his lap times and also the gap to second, and he should be seeing that each lap is going up by 1 second, so then he can work out then he doesn't have to push as much.
Well, the good thing for Fenton as well is it's a nice long straight here, the centre straight. He's not really in a lot of traffic, so he should be able to see the pit wall clearly enough.
Yeah, very clear, and also they're not the fastest of bikes, so he'll be able to see that clearly.
Read the cricket scores on there as well then.
Definitely can.
A little bit different for you at the moment out on an MV, I'd imagine.
That's how I nearly missed my black and orange flag today. I was trying to hold on to the bike, and I actually saw the flag, but I didn't see my number, so I got a bit of a telling off.
Well, it's amazing how those things can happen. I remember Chuan Mir actually in MotoGP saying when he first got in his Suzuki, the first thing he did was overshoot turn 1 because he was looking down at his dashboard at his lap times. And
yeah, that's the thing, because I'm never really used to this kind of speed. So when I'm exiting the corner, I'm just trying to hold on for dear life, and the next corner's approaching so fast, I ain't really got time to be looking at the flags until I've got more time on the bike and it becomes more normal for me.
Well, they've all caught up then with Cameron Horseman in the battle for second, so this is really important now. Cameron Horseman has clearly decided, well, I'm not catching Fenton Seabright, so he's going to have to try and defend now, Danny, this 2nd place. But crucially, Scott Ogden is in that group as well.
Yeah, there's a group of 4. Just don't want to get them fighting too much, and then one of them makes a mistake.
Interestingly, Scott Swan then is the man that is challenging right now. I say man, I should say young man. Scott Swan, just 16.
Swan has actually set the fastest lap of the race on that last lap, 2:07.8.
And he's going for second place now as well. There was a bit of a door open there from Cameron Horseman, and through goes number 20, Scott Swan. Cameron Horseman won't mind losing points to Scott Swan. Doesn't really feature in their championship battle, but it now means that Horseman and Ogden are in third and fourth, the riders battling for first in the championship.
Yeah, and we're halfway through the race now, and like I said, some riders, they were a bit dubious at the beginning because of a few more wet spots. Swan now has got into his groove. He's running some fast lap times. You can see already he's starting to pull away. He might have saved his tyres a little bit at the beginning of the race. Still 7 laps to go. If Fenton comes into some problems and Swan can keep the consistent pace, you never know, he could bring that gap down.
There's a bit of a side-by-side battle going on there from Horseman and Ogden down the Bentley Straight and into Brundle Corner, but Horseman reluctant to allow Ogden through. They're the riders in third and fourth we're looking at, and just there to pick up the pieces should it all go wrong as well is Nixon, number 2. He's another rider who at the moment could not care less about the championship. It's just whatever points and prizes, especially if you're at the back of this group and you know there's a podium on, Dan.
Yeah, definitely. He's out there for himself. If he can see a podium, he's going to be pushing hard to get that podium, no matter the consequences, really.
Rather interestingly there, Cameron Horseman deciding, I'm going to take a plunge through the big puddle.
Seabright then sets the fastest lap, but we're talking very small numbers. Both of them in the 2:07.8.
So there's a change for second then, as Swan then goes back behind.
Nixon now past Ogden as well.
This would all help Horseman out hugely in the championship. They drop into Wilson Corner. Just a bit of a twitchy exit there from Cameron Horseman allows Scott Swan then to get a bit closer. There is Scott Ogden back up ahead now of Nixon again.
You can see in the background how dark the clouds are there.
Yeah, it's looking dark, isn't it? That could, well, disrupt things. I mean, they are on wet tyres. The race technically cannot be interrupted for climatic reasons because they're all on wet tyres as it was, but as you mentioned at the start, it really would throw a spanner in the works if it chucked it down now.
Yeah, definitely.
Seabright it is then that has the lead of this race. He's in control. He's almost 8 seconds clear now of this battle for second. There he is. You can see a mammoth gap that he has to defend with less than 6 laps remaining. Horseman it is in second place. 20 points on offer for that. Swan in third.
Yeah, I thought Swan had a bit more pace than that because it looked like he started to pull away, and then Horseman in that last sector on the previous lap actually caught him up quite a lot. Maybe Horseman's come into a better rhythm now. Maybe having a lap behind him or half a lap behind Swan made him realise that you can actually push that a little bit harder.
Well, he's just dropped another place now with Scott Ogden. He knows exactly who that is at the front of his group. It's his championship rival. So he's now gone up ahead through Brundle and Nelson into third place. So if you just look at the left there in the background, it is raining. Now, I'm not sure how far away that is.
And with the way the wind is as well, it's all blowing it around in the circle. I think at some point today with the wind we are going to get another downpour. Hopefully not before my qualifying.
You know, fingers crossed. You just never know here. The weather is so unpredictable at Snetterton. This is the battle then for second, third, fourth and fifth. The championship protagonists at the sharp end of it.
I think we're going to see these 4 locked together until the very last lap. And like you said, you can see Ogden. You can see his championship rivals just in front of him. He's going to be keeping an eye on him. Obviously, you don't want to lose too many points, but I think he'll be happy if he can get on that podium.
I think it would be a marvellous job from 19th on the grid. The cream really is rising to the crop. The top 3 in the championship are all in first, second and third. There are a few riders that are showing how much they're improving as the season goes on. But as we've mentioned before, you've got 2 riders there that can throw caution to the wind, that are not featuring in the championship, that just want to take some silverware back to the garage.
Risks, you would have thought.
Yes, absolutely. So number 20 and number 2 there, Swan and Nixon. Oh, a mistake there from Swan.
Yeah. Oh, he's very brave on that grass. It looked like he went slowing down then, considering we've just had a lot of rain.
His chances, it looks like now, then of a podium have all gone. I just wonder whether he felt like he might run into the back there of Scott Ogden.
Yeah, I think he outbroke himself a little bit. He saw him closing in on quite fast, and he went straight on.
So the battle for the podium then, the remaining podium places that is, down to 3. Scott Ogden going through. Let's have a look and see this then, Danny.
Yeah, he was going to... Good job that he moved to the left, because otherwise he was going to be clipping Scott Ogden.
And you are right, he was very brave on the grass there, handful of throttle as well. This is your race leader. I would say home and dry, but there's still anything that can happen between now and then. He'll be praying that he can hold on to that victory.
But he's very consistent. His best lap is a 2:07.8. On that last lap was a 2:08.0. Still faster than the boys chasing him. With only 4 laps to go, soon to be 3. You know, he's got it in the bag, really.
Well, Scott Ogden's now got into second place, and it looks like Nixon has decided to pull the pin a bit here as well. So Cameron Horseman is being put under a bit of pressure here in the last few moments. He sees a gap. That's a tight entry into Richie's corner, but excellently done.
That was a good move. Brave.
Very brave indeed. So he holds on then, Cameron Horseman. He's putting a lot of pressure and asking a lot of questions on his front end there. He remains ahead of this battle for second place. These two are going to go for it. Horseman knows that if he wants any chance of winning the British Talent Cup, he can't really afford to keep on dropping points to Scott Ogden. There would be an extra 4 points for him if he finishes in second ahead of Ogden. That would take the gap down to 17 for tomorrow's race, but you just know, even though Ogden has climbed from 19th, Danny, in his head he's thinking psychologically this would do a lot of damage.
Yeah, it could do. And also, normally he would have been third from the back of the grid is a good result. But with second place just in front of him, he knows he can. There's a chance of him doing that. You just wonder how much he's going to risk to get that one extra position.
Well, we're going to find out in the next 3 or so laps. Nixon, just a little bit of a twitch there, number 2. And a big gap then back to that group. You can just see further down, huge bunch of riders. This is 11th onwards. Tinker from Rhys Irwin. Look at this group here, still fighting it out for all of the remaining points, down to Maguire in 17th. So from 11th to 17th, points make prizes for all of those guys.
Yeah, and Tinker from 18th on the grid up to 11th, so not a bad job from him.
Rhys Irwin really has struggled in the last couple of rounds. A rider who is a lot taller, a lot broader, losing out on the straights here significantly.
Yeah, definitely, especially on these standard Hondas as well, where the bikes are really small and also narrow. For a wider rider, it's not going to be the easiest jobs, especially here at Snetterton.
Well, across the line to complete another lap, Fenton Seabright then. He's already heading into Richie's corner.
And
this is the battle for
fastest
second.
lap of the race again.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
They must not be waving their arms on the pit wall.
Either that or he's just not paying attention to them. Not. So here we go into turn 1. This time Ogden closes the door. So Ogden in second place. This would do some damage. Second for Ogden. Third now for Nixon. Horseman back in 4th and off the podium. That would hurt at the end of this 14-lap race where he not to finish on the podium, particularly with his championship rival now then up into second. It looks like Ogden here is going to try and break away now, Danny, and make certainly ask a few questions of these two.
Yeah, if there was any time to do it, it would be now. With Nixon just in between them, this could be a good opportunity for him to try and pull away.
You can just see there Horseman
he wants to get through,
past. He doesn't want to lose sight of Scott Ogden here. Could be a big moment in the championship right here at Snetterton.
But then, as we were saying, Nixon, he wants a podium.
Yep.
Less to lose. He can push that a little bit harder, and he's staying with them. So I think we're going to have a good few last laps.
Scott's one will be cursing at the mistake he made earlier on. He's lapping quicker than these three. He's trying to reel them in just in the background there in 5th place.
Yeah.
If these were to all engage in battle, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he could still feature. But as it stands, it looks like his podium chances are gone. Here is your race leader, though, Fenton Seabright, in complete control. One of the biggest problems when you have such a lead and you're in such control is that you don't get quite as much airtime, Danny.
No, that's always the way in all classes, isn't it?
Here is number 4 then. It's a good sign. Now then, Horseman needs to find a way through here on Nixon. because Ogden has just got himself a couple of tenths there, hasn't he, in second?
Yeah, but I've been noticing every lap that in this last sector is where Nixon's been struggling the most. And then you see in the first sort of two sectors, he's a little bit faster, but then he loses again in sector 4. But then obviously if he loses it in sector 4, he's in front of Horseman, which is pulling him back.
So across the line then to complete another one. Horseman trying to get into the slipstream of Nixon. It's not working this time. Nixon, though, used the slipstream to great effect there, actually, just to claw back into
quite
Ogden.
a lot there.
Across the line there, Ogden a 208.2, a 208.1 for Nixon. And they're all back together again as a big group. So that will be encouraging for Horseman.
This is also, again, with the wind, if you get that little bit of a gap, and if you've got headwind and you're the first one hitting that, but like we saw going around the second to last corner, there was at least half a second gap. And by the end of the straight, there was on him. It was because Ogden was hitting the wind first and pushing him back, whereas the others were using his slipstream.
I've seen here at the cast at Snetterton as well, on bikes like this, riders actually on complete opposite lockdown the back straight here because of the wind. There's no protection from it here at Snetterton. So we're getting to the closing stages then of this first race of the British Talent Cup here at Snetterton. Fenton Seabright should be able, hopefully, fingers crossed, because he deserves it, to cruise home to victory. It's all eyes on this battle for second place then, which will be crucial in terms of the championship. Scott Ogden, who's come from 19th on the grid, is in second. Then it's Nixon and Horseman now into the slipstream, trying to find a way through.
I think he's going to try and make the move, but he has to be careful because we have already seen one rider go down on that wet spot.
Well, he's going to make the lunge up the inside, then going into Brundle corner. Can he make it stick? No, the door closed. Oh, it's a bit... You can see there the gap has come down again. I have to say Scott Swan is throwing everything into this in the background to try and become a part of this group. He's going to run out of laps, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately he is. He'll be kicking himself because he's got some good pace at the moment. He was in that group for second place, and if he didn't, was he going around the outside?
Horseman's having a go here around the outside of Coram Curves. That gives him the inside line into Murray's. That's nice, a brilliant move. Brilliant move from Cameron Horseman, and it's at a crucial time as well, as he tries to now get into the slipstream of Scott Ogden. These are the two championship rivals then, side by side, as they come across the line. The battle for second. Ogden has a little look over, and through goes Cameron Horseman. It is back on again, and Nixon.
Oh, and Nixon also.
Is also
going to be swapped.
Unbelievable here in the closing stages at Snetterton. Ogden has gone from second to fourth in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, they sort of swap roles there. Nixon's in the middle of them.
So just a lap and a half left for these riders. Here is your race leader, Fenton Seabright, 13 seconds.
And again on that last lap with 1 lap to go, 2 laps to go, sorry, set his fastest lap. So he's not holding back, even though he's got that 13 gaps, 13-second lead. He's not holding back at all.
Yeah, he'll be giving his team heart murmurs at the moment, that's for sure. So Seabright then, this is going to be such an important victory for him. He'll be desperate for Nixon actually to try and finish in second here, so he can claw back a few points.
Exactly, you're right.
So here was the battle for second then. That's how big the lead is for Fenton Seabright. There's a bit of a gap here.
Yeah.
That's Cameron Horseman. Now, he's made his break then, and Nixon, crucially then, is up into third place still. He's held off Scott Ogden.
I think the gap's now a bit too much. I think for 1.5 laps left.
Does Ogden now just concentrate purely on Nixon?
Yeah, or he has to.
He can't afford to really make any mistakes, can he?
The gaps, especially for 1 lap, unless you make it...
Well, he's going for it. Straight up the inside. Is he going to make that stick? He does. He does, yeah. He's not completely given up on hopes.
No, he hasn't. And he has been fast in this last sector, especially around the long right-hander. He's been quite fast.
I have to say as well, Cameron Horseman is, say, just slightly the taller rider. So on that start-finish straight, he might well just get clawed back a bit. This could be a fascinating final lap coming up here.
You just don't want him pushing too much to close that gap in, and then he makes a mistake. It'd be very costly.
Well, there you see.
He's tapping the back.
Yeah.
Tend to follow him.
Saying to Jack Nixon, you follow me. Nixon saying, I want a podium. It's the last lap. You're joking. Across the line we go then. Fenton Seabright's already coming up to Wilson Corner. This is the battle for second. Horseman from Ogden, from Nixon. Another fastest lap from Fenton Seabright as he made his way across the line as they start the final lap. Looks like Horseman has got this one in the bag at the moment, but anything can happen.
He just broke really late then. But you see, it's a yo-yo effect. It's on when you break a bit later, he pulls himself in, but then he loses it on the exit.
He's got to now just put together a few perfect corners, Scott Ogden, if he wants any chance at second. This would really hurt Cameron Horseman, but Horseman at the moment looks like he's okay as he heads up towards Agostini corner. Again, Ogden,
yeah, he's
quite
breaking
late on the brakes.
He is. He's putting out some risks to try and gain that second place. But Horseman's doing a good job. He's keeping that gap. Yeah, I think that's... If there's no mistakes from Horseman, that should be a safe second place. But anything can happen.
Yeah, he's got to just try and keep it clear now as he makes his way onto that back straight, because you can lose so much time if you get it wrong on the exit here coming up. So this is it. This is basically where Ogden could try and claw it back. You know what? I think there is a chance, you know.
There is, because he braked really late on the previous lap into the S's.
Well, typically,
it is possible.
I reckon Seabright's going to cross the line just as these guys going into the last corner.
Yeah, and we're not going to see it, are we?
Ogden, let's see. Ogden is closer. Every corner we go through, he's clawing back a 10.
Is he going to make a lunge into the last chicane? I don't know if he's quite close enough.
He's got to go round then the bomb hole and make it through. This is Fenton Seabright. What a brilliant ride from the rider that set pole position. The checkered flag is out for him and he will win. Who's going to take second place, though? I don't think there's enough time there for him to make up. Checkered flag out. Fenton Seabright storms it at Snetterton. A brilliant win.
Great race.
Just on the exit there of the final corner, Horseman then, he's managed to stay in second. That's a crucial second place for him. He's going to take 20 points and then claw 4 back on Ogden, but Ogden...
Top two are taking some points out of the championship leader, just what they wanted, but of course they would have preferred to see, with him starting at the back of the grid, they would have wanted him to finish a bit more down the grid.
Ogden takes third then ahead of Nixon and Swan. Then it's Barrett in 6th. Across the line there, Collins takes 7th place ahead of Jack Hart and Charlie Atkins, who's got another top 10 to his name. Then there'll be a bit of a gap back to number 14. Tinker, he's in 10th place ahead of Harry Lee, and then that huge gaggle of riders that are going to be battling away from 12th place onwards. Let's see who gets across the line there. It is O'Shea who takes 12th ahead of Irwin. Davis is 14th. The final points go to Harvey Claridge. I have to say, Danny, Scott Ogden there, okay, he lost the battle this time around to his championship rival Horseman, but he's only lost 4 points to him, and he started 19th on the grid. That's a great ride.
Personally, I think he'll have mixed emotions there, because he's lost a few points, and he could see second place right in front of him. He would want it that, but like we were saying at the beginning of the race, you need to be as consistent as possible. Get these points. He comes from the back of the grid. He's on the podium, and that's just what you need to do to win a championship.
Well, they're all going to have to take a bow here to Fenton Seabright, because he's been absolutely brilliant. That's back-to-back wins now for the number 22, and crucially, with that, he cuts the gap, if my maths are right, to 49 points, which is a lot better than 58. There'll be how many races? There'll be 5 races to go. Still possible.
It is possible. It is possible.
Especially if he puts in another performance like this tomorrow.
And, you know, like you said, he's had 2 race wins now on the bounce. He's going to be feeling good. His confidence is going to be through the roof. So, yeah, you may see the last charge for him to try and get them points down for the last 5 races.
Could be a great show, that. Still 2 more rounds left after this. Brno in the Czech Republic. There'll be a new one for all of these riders. None of them will have been there before. And then, of course, we move on to the Silverstone circuit for the final round. And hopefully we've still got a championship on then. But it stayed dry, Danny, anyway.
It
so
did
fingers
for now,
crossed
yeah.
for you this afternoon.
I hope so. Well, to be fair, we've been very lucky with the weather today, because looking at the forecast yesterday, it looked like we were going to be having thunderstorms and some real heavy rain all throughout the day. So the strong winds that we had yesterday, I think, is just blowing that past.
Well, it's funny how the cream always manages to rise to the top at championships, and it looks like it's the same again here. Certainly on the Saturday here at Snetterton, the top 3 in the British Talent Cup Championship will all make their way into Parc Ferme and up towards the podium, but in reverse order of where they feature actually in the championship so far. Let's see what the body language reactions are, one would suspect that Fenton Seabright will be the most pumped of that group. Brilliant.
Happy with that, isn't he? Richard would be.
Probably the most dominant victory of the season so far, that for Fenton Seabright. We're going to have a look then and confirmation of the results and the standings then. Let's just run these through before the riders make their way onto the podium. Fenton Seabright then takes a mammoth victory. 13 second he was clear of Cameron Horseman, with Scott Ogden in third. Jack Nixon, good ride, but just misses out on a podium. Scott Swan will be ruining that mistake made. He finishes fifth ahead of Charlie Farrer. Torrin Collins, seventh. That's his best result of the season. Then it was Jack Hart and Charlie Atkins in ninth. In 10th, Corey Tinker. He finished just ahead of Harry Lee. Then a big group and a battle for 12th onward. Ed O'Shea took 12th ahead of Rhys Irwin. Jamie Davis. Harvey Claridge took the final point. Jamie Lyons just missing out on the line. And just behind Lyons, Ross Maguire and Oshan Jones. Let's have a look and see if my maths are right then.
Time will tell, let's see.
Scott Ogden still leads. Should be 17 now that he has over Cameron Horseman. And it is. Yep. And Fenton Seabright, there we go. The C in GCSE maths comes back for me. Fenton Seabright third. Jack Hart fourth then. It looks like it's a three-way fight for the championship here, Danny.
It is, yeah. It is. It's going to be a little bit harder for Fenton with 49 points. But 5 races to go. Anything can happen. Especially in Moto3, anything can happen. Racing in England as well with the weather. There's so much can happen.
Further down in the championship, Charlie Atkins took another top 10. He is 10th in the championship. Harvey Claridge has 11th there to Jamie Davis. Torrin Collins has moved up quite a few places, actually. He's into 13th there of Lyons, Pinson, Tinker, Oshan Jones and Harry Lee. Always good to get a good old shot of the potato fields here at Snetterton. There's the podium then for the British Talent Cup. Fantastic victory then for Fenton Seabright, who's about to make his way up onto the podium. Cameron Horseman there just joining him, and then we're awaiting championship leader Scott Ogden. Here he comes.
His glasses on.
Yeah, where did he get those from?
Must be a sponsor.
I'm not sure if I want a sponsor like that, to be honest. Oh, they are Oakley. Oh, there you go.
That changes everything, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, of course it does, yeah. Especially for teenagers.
Yeah.
Well, they all look pretty happy with each other. A lot of respect and mutual respect in this championship. These guys have been racing since last year, of course. They were all in the British Talent Cup in 2018 as well. I understand the glasses are from Santi, who's the technician back in the garage. That does not surprise me. If anyone knows Santi, that is not the most surprising statistic ever. He's one of the more flamboyant characters, shall we say, over in the British Talent Cup awning.
I think I worked with him a little bit when he was working back in the Rebel Rookies Cup and everything.
Yeah, he does.
I saw him earlier, actually, and we spoke for a bit.
Yeah, well, there you go. You won't be surprised then that they're his glasses, will you?
Definitely not.
Fenton Seabright then doing what he needed to do. Race victories are the key now for him, here until the end of the championship, and it's another one in the bag, and as Danny rightly says, so good for the confidence as well. And now we wait for the national anthem for race winner.
The riders just get the photographs and everything else for the various websites, social media feeds and everything else like that. Because now, ladies and gentlemen, your respect please for the race winners, national anthem. Sunshine at...
Well, thank you very much to Danny Kent for joining me. Danny, it's been a pleasure to have your insight here in the commentary box. We will be racing. There will be more racing for tomorrow. Danny will have a lot of other duties going on then. 10:40 local time. You can join us here at Snet for the next one. But Danny, good luck this weekend. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, and thank you.
That was 2015 world champion Danny Kent. So then, that's it from race 1. These are the highlights. Fenton Seabright from pole position to victory. An absolutely outstanding achievement for him. And the championship is still on with 5 races left in 2019. Seabright now 49 adrift. Horseman 17 down, but it's still Scott Ogden with a 100% podium record who will lead going into tomorrow. We hope you enjoy the rest of the highlights here from Snetterton, from myself, Steve Day, from Danny Kent. Thank you so much for joining us here today at Snetterton. Enjoy the rest of the action throughout the day, and we'll see you here bright and breezy tomorrow morning in Norfolk.